Stay tuned for today's episode of Breaking the Biz, an informative podcast where we dive into the world of entertainment by interviewing seasoned professionals who have made their mark in the industry. Gain invaluable insights as they share their personal journeys, offering advice on navigating the dynamic landscape of the entertainment industry. Whether you're an aspiring actor, musician, filmmaker, author, animator, or any creative soul, tune in for expert career guidance, insider tips, and first-hand accounts on breaking into the entertainment industry. Get ready to unlock the secrets behind successful careers and fuel your own passion for the limelight. Please remember to like this video and to subscribe to our channels for more great conversations.
Greetings from Breaking the Biz, brought to you by Yes I Can Unity Through Music and Education. I'm William Felber, your navigator through the intriguing universe of the entertainment industry, as revealed by the visionaries and creators who bring it to life. Stay tuned as we delve into diverse insights from the forefront of entertainment, hearing from pioneers, creators, and agents of change. Prepare for a journey filled with tales of innovation, resilience, and the undying quest for artistic brilliance.
Welcome to Breaking the Biz podcast with the Yes I Can crew. We have got a great guest with us. We have Jamie D. Hart. She is the founder of Hart and Songs, an artist, manager, rights, and management consultant firm. She's an advocate who is passionate about giving back to the industry by educating independent creators at all levels of their career. Her expertise in ground and guiding artists to comprehend the crucial aspect of royalty collection, which is often overlooked, but is an extremely vital part of having a music career and a long-term career in the music industry. So I'm glad that you focus on that aspect. I think a lot of people oversee that. Over the last decade, she's worked with artists, labels, publishers, helping them leverage digital platforms and tools, along with confirming that they are accurately collecting their masters and publishing royalties. As the founder and CEO of Hart and Songs, which is, again, a firm here in Los Angeles, the ideal solution for independent artists, producers, and songwriters seeking to ensure proper song registration and effective collection of their royalties. The company also has extensive experience managing metadata and handling relations with companies such as Songtrust, Centric Music, BMI, ASCAP, Sound Exchange, among many others. She manages Ryan Nealon, an LA-based pop singer-songwriter with a growing audience across TikTok and Instagram from several viral moments, as well as chill electronic producer Korosima, who has over 100 million streams across all DSPs. In her most recent role as the senior manager on SoundCloud's commercial partnership team, Jamie was responsible for leading the company's relationship with publishers and songwriters. Here, she helped launch SoundCloud's first songwriter series, Unsung Heroes, highlighting the creators behind some of the most popular songs across the genre. I love kind of hearing the behind the scenes and how we're getting artists out there. I know everyone uses SoundCloud, so it's nice to see that we're using that in its proper format. So I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Of course. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. So I kind of want to hear, when indeed you're this involved in music. Obviously, you fell in love with the music bug. I want to know, when did you fall in love with music?
Yeah. So I myself grew up, I am still a musician, but I'm not actively performing. But I started performing when I was in fifth grade. I was a singer, and then I taught myself how to play guitar off of YouTube when I was like in middle school. And then had my own little solo career throughout high school. I'm from San Diego. So I used to gig on the weekends at all of the farmers markets and the street fairs. And so I always knew that music was super important to me. But when it came down to figuring out what I was going to do possibly for college, I decided to get a music business degree, but it was still like a music degree. So I had to do all of the ear training, music theory classes, music history classes, had to get basically a music degree with some music business classes on the side and some internships. So it's always been music for me. And I feel like it's evolved over the years where like my passion really grew for like helping artists because I myself at one point was like like an artist pursuing a career. So I really can relate to artists.
Okay, I love it. So teaching yourself how to play guitar on YouTube, love it. Did not have YouTube when I was pursuing music, so it's amazing that there are so many tools right there in your hand to use. So I just love that. Did you sign up with BMI, ASCAP? Were you collecting your royalties, looking at all of that, or did you learn kind of that business aspect side in school?
Yeah, I learned that probably most clearly in my first internship in the music industry, which turned into the first job that I had for almost 5 years. Um, that was at a label services consulting company that also had a publishing admin um, part where they helped all of the artists and writers collect the royalties, and that's where I like really learned all of this stuff.
Okay, let's take two steps back. So you get your degree from school, music management, correct?
So I got a commercial music degree and just music business.
Got it. Okay. So
Degree.
talk me through, how did you go about getting the internship? Was that through a professor? Was that just, something through the college? Talk me
Yeah.
through the internship.
So I actually connected with a guest speaker who came and spoke in one of my classes, I think when I was a sophomore, and I connected with him on LinkedIn and I think Facebook. And so I like made sure to like stay connected with all of the special guests that would come into all of our classes. And then fall of my junior year, I went to Nashville for a semester and did a program there. It was kind of like a study abroad, but it's not abroad. It was a music industry program.
Nashville is where there a lot of music is
Yeah.
composed, written, a very big, huge music hub. So it makes sense.
Yeah. So when I was there, this guest speaker saw that I was there. I was posting on social media, and he was in town for an awards show. And so he was like, "Let's meet up." And then what turned into like meeting up for coffee ended up me like actually going to some of the events with their team. And then they asked if I could help them walk some of their clients down the red carpet for the award show. It kind of like was the craziest like 48 hours ever. And then so I did a good job, and then afterwards he was like, if you ever want an internship, like you have one. So it was just kind of like you can never really calculate these random happenings in life. It's just you connect with whoever you can connect with, and you don't know what it's going to turn into.
I have to highlight some things here because what you did is amazing. First of all, following the individuals that are guest speakers. I always say LinkedIn is such a great place to have that, almost that informational interview. It's a great place to say, oh my God, I appreciate the work you're doing.
Mhm.
Sometimes you look up to certain individuals and you can follow their career, and, there's nothing wrong with following the steps of someone who's successful. That's one of the blessings of having someone like yourself here tonight. I also want to highlight, like, that's natural networking. We
Mhm.
always hear about like how important networking is, and it's just proof in the pudding that if you put yourself out there, you're not necessarily, you weren't trying to get something from someone. You weren't on your end like, hey, let's meet up. You just were posting like, hey, I'm here, and that person remembered you. Again, a very important part of when there are guest speakers, opening your mouth and sharing what it is that you want to do in this big world, because no one looks at anyone and goes, that is the perfect person that's going to be able to manage artists and deal with royalties. And,
Yeah.
the biggest part, make sure they're getting paid and collecting properly from their royalties. Some people just don't understand the music side of the business. Everyone wants to be an artist, but no one wants to spend the time that it takes to make sure that you're getting paid correctly. Like, I can't imagine going into any job and just going, pay me what I should be paid, and not looking and understanding how it is you're supposed to be paid and collect. So the part you do is very important for artists. And I know everyone goes, oh, I don't need a manager. But if you understand this business, amen. But if you don't, you're going to get eaten up alive and taken advantage of. So I love that. So hearing somebody say, if you ever want an internship, you have it. Amazing feeling. You did 48 hours of proving your worth, showing that you're not like, oh my God, let me get the autograph. Taking it very serious, which really does show a lot of maturity. So he offers you the internship. When you get home, do you wait a certain amount of days, or do you just jump on that call and go, hey, had a fantastic time in Nashville. I want to go ahead and pursue this internship?
Yeah, pretty immediately we discussed when I would return from Nashville, what my internship would look like as far as like starting time. But we were very connected over email and text after that, fun 48 hours that I had doing a lot of work. So I finished my program in Nashville. And then when I came home, it was like Thanksgiving break. But then I think I started at the end of that year as an intern for their company.
Okay. And the company, once again, that you interned with, what was the
name? So it's Adarga Entertainment Group.
Okay. And for 5 years, did you do the same thing under the internship? Did you explore different roles and talk me through that?
Yeah, so when I started as an intern, they were doing publishing, admin, collection, and master royalty collection for about like 8 or so of their clients. They found out that a lot of their clients didn't know if they were collecting their royalties. And then I kind of just grew that business with them. So by the time that I left, I was like the head of publishing. So I was a publishing manager for that department, and we were collecting royalties for about like 65 artists. And because it was a small company, I also did have the opportunity to wear a lot of different hats. So we had a client who recorded a live album at Madison Square Garden that ended up winning or getting nominated for a Latin Grammy. So there were just like other random things because they had that other consulting side of their business where they were helping artists do release rollout, like marketing plans, PR, pretty much anything the teams needed from them.
What a great way to learn the business. And like, I love how you mentioned wearing different hats. From that experience, from artist management, royalties, dealing with, the layout and marketing of an album coming out and what that looks like, did that help you narrow down exactly what you wanted to do within this industry?
I feel like it kind of started the ball rolling of my like next job, where I was super interested in publishing royalties and like all of the different avenues of how you can make money as an artist. But I feel like, I throughout the several other careers that I had and what I'm doing now, it's like it all ties in together. Like you kind of learn and experience different marketing plans, release rollouts, and then like you keep that information in your head and you don't know when you're going to use it. You can use it in 2 years' time, in 5 years' time. So I feel like that core job really helped me figure out all of the things that I was interested in and help me build a lot of skills going forward.
I love it. So you do 5 years there. How long did you intern till it turned into a job?
So I did the typical like 120-hour internship that was required of my music business degree. And then what happened is they hired me on like a monthly stipend level. Like it was minimum pay because, and then at that point I'm still a senior in college. So I have that job, I have like an on-campus job, and then I'm trying to finish my degree. So it was a little bit chaotic, but I feel like during that time, I learned a lot of like time management skills and kind of it was good to feel like I know how to send emails and be on team meetings prior to graduating college. I felt really prepared for the real world.
I love that. And, I just want to highlight again, sometimes internships pay, sometimes they don't. Getting your foot in the door is the most vital point. And being able to, all the things you're learning in college, you're actually able to put that into real time and see it, why those skills were so necessary. So I'm a big component, a big supporter of internships. Are very important and something that everyone should take advantage of. So you do your 120 hours. You're on the on a stipend, so to speak. When you get hired there, you're there for 5 years total. What's the next move from there?
Yeah, so the next move from there is I also got a master's degree while I was at that company. So it was like an online low residency master's degree. So I didn't have to go into my university. I was able to get like a master's of arts in music entrepreneurial studies while I was working. So continued on to the staying busy and like being good at time management and having like work trips and getting a second degree done. Once I had finished my master's degree, I kind of felt like I got to a point where I did a lot of good things at my first job, but I felt like it was time to go branch out, figure out like I think it got to a point where it was like I wasn't learning new things, which I feel like is and that's okay. Like that's a good way to indicate like maybe your time at a certain company is over, and then you need to look for the next thing that's going to challenge you and like help you grow in the industry. So from there, I actually ended up getting a job at AdRev, which was our YouTube rights management partner at Adarga. So it's like it's all tied together and connected in some way. They didn't even have a job for me at that moment in time. They just were like, we're going to hire you. It was like I didn't apply to a job description online. I was just emailing all of the folks in the industry that I knew, my resume, and letting them know that I'm looking for my next job. So that was also very lucky, which feeds back into the fact that like so much of the industry is making connections with human beings and making real friends in the industry, because that's how you get your next job. So I hopped over there and dove deeper into YouTube royalties.
I want to talk about YouTube royalties because I don't think so many people really understand that there's a lot of money to be made in YouTube. And I love the fact that you mentioned, again, networking, having real colleagues and friends, real true people are people that you can call and say, hey, just like you did, just got my master's. I'm ready to move on. I'm looking for an opportunity. Does anybody have anything? Sometimes you have that with your professors. Sometimes in your case, you went out and used LinkedIn, you use social media, you touch base with people, make those real connections. I love it. When someone's willing to bring you on and they're like, hey, we don't have a job yet, but we know we want you, that just means you're bringing and adding value. So kudos to you. Talk me through YouTube royalties because I know people. All of them. Yeah, there are people that are making lots of money off of YouTube. Is there an artist that you can think of that you've worked with that has made millions of dollars off of YouTube?
Millions of dollars. That's a good question.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars? Yes,
definitely. One of the clients that was at the first company was a small band made up of all brothers from Guatemala. So it's like very niche, like it's Spanish music. It's not your mainstream like American pop music. But they made like a very healthy amount of money every quarter off of YouTube royalties alone, just because people were reposting their content which is called user-generated content, and was embedding their copyrights, like the song, maybe even multiple songs. They're making lyric videos, they're making visualizers, and those people creating the videos are not making the money. It's actually, if you're monetizing correctly, it's whoever owns the content. So what happens is those videos would be uploaded and then AdRev would put a claim on those videos because that video creator doesn't own the sound recording copyright. The band does. And so they just had so many creations using their music on like a daily basis. A lot of people also re-uploading live concerts. So a mixture of having to track that down and figure out if a claim didn't automatically get put on a big video, that's like a compilation of one of their live concerts. We would coordinate with AdRev to make sure like, oh, this video has these songs. Can you make sure that it's claimed? So that's kind of the way that a lot of people don't know how YouTube royalties work in that way. Like that is unrelated to if somebody had a vlog channel and they just want to click monetize on their video. This is like the inside behind the scenes way that people monetize using the sound recording assets.
One of the things that I always hate is I'll post a video, maybe it is like a live recording, and you get that message like, you don't own this music, you have to take it down. So there are, I call them like the YouTube Nazis who are pulling down the stuff, but it totally makes sense because in the end, obviously, if I'm posting like hey, I'm just at the concert, I'm not trying to monetize the money that way. I'm just trying to share my video, but I get it. Like if you do own the content, you want to make sure that you're getting paid. So when people do like, let's talk about like the kids on YouTube who have, I have a 5-year-old who watches YouTube every single day. That, it's the videos of them like walking around and, it's not necessarily music, but it's just are those people making tons of money as well?
Yeah, so channels like that, channels where they play with toys, where they unbox products, that all can be monetized as well. And that's monetization on a like video channel level. So most likely all of these creators are a part of the YouTube Partner Program, which means that as long as they follow the community guidelines that YouTube sets for them for monetization, ads end up going on the beginning of their video or the little bar on the bottom of the video. Or if you are using YouTube Premium, they get paid even more if like a premium user is watching their video. So there's several different ways, and that's just by clicking monetization in the back end of their YouTube channel.
Crazy stuff. Let me ask you, you did the job for 5 years, the internship led into a job, and then you do, at this company. Is there a mentor that you have at this point? Is there an instructor, a professor who just, you can reach out to and go, hey, I'm working on this project, wanted to pick your brain. Is there someone from that first company who, when I talk about a mentor, who's a few mentors to you?
Yeah. I mean, throughout the years, I've had very different relationships with people that I feel like they were a mentor, even if it wasn't in an official capacity. But luckily, I also was a part of like Grammy U, Women in Music, a bunch of organizations where they had actual mentorship programs. So if you want to go through the work to get a mentor, it's pretty easy because there are so many music industry organizations. So I had the mixture of like personal relationships of people that I looked up to as a mentor, and also people that were in the industry that I got connected to through these programs. I feel like every single person you create a relationship with, you learn from them. You kind of see what they're doing, and if you trust them enough, you can ask them for advice. And if you have a like close relationship together.
I love it. Grammy U. Did you say Women in Music? Is that?
Yeah.
I've seen some of these nonprofits around.
Yeah. I have something called the Beyond the Classroom Guide, which I think possibly is one of the reasons why we got connected in the first place. I created a guide. I think I can only send it to you, but anyways, I sent you the link and then you can send it to everybody.
Okay.
But I created a guide of all of these different music industry resources because once again, like when I speak to students, everyone's like kind of overwhelmed. They're like, how do I find that first internship? How do I find mentors? How do I even find information about the industry that I need to know? And so I kind of compiled a list of all of my favorites because this information shouldn't be secret. Like these organizations are out there to help people, but I just find that it sometimes is hard to find where they are. How do I get the link? But yeah.
Okay. Love it. So talk me through after you work at this intern or you now have this job doing the YouTube and making sure everyone's getting paid. What comes next? Do you launch your management company right after that?
So 6 months into being at AdRev, the pandemic happened. So I went from going to an office 4 days a week. We had work from home Fridays to work from home every single day for several years. I kind of had a little bit more time on my hands. And although I was learning a lot about the YouTube backend and kind of spending a lot of time in Excel sheets and manipulating like thousands of lines of data, I kind of got a little bit, I felt like disconnected from the world because everybody else was like on video calls and I was just like going through Excel sheets all day. So that's kind of how I would say that is the little start of Heart and Songs, even though I didn't launch it. I started consulting for different independent artists. And I was spending a lot of time on the social audio app Clubhouse, where people were having a lot of music business rooms and discussions. And through that, I ended up kind of on accident building my consulting company. And then had some artists and then ended up, getting my first artist management client. And I was doing this on the side of a full-time job because there was just like a lot of extra time on our hands. And I was doing it for fun. I wasn't doing it for like side income, which was still great. But I think why I loved it is because I was doing it for fun, and really just connecting with a ton of different artists. And then that kind of turned into how I went to my next job at SoundCloud, where I could use a mixture of both of my expert, knowledge, which is I was helping artists make sure that they're releasing everything correctly, collecting their royalties, but then I also got to help them like on the creative side, deciding, when should I put this song out? And at SoundCloud, I was an account manager. So I was an account manager for 330 artists, labels, and accounts. So I was their go-to person for any questions that they had.
Let's talk about SoundCloud for explain SoundCloud for those who do not know what SoundCloud is.
Yeah, SoundCloud is a little bit of a mixture of a digital streaming like platform and also has a lot of different like social media elements. It's a platform where there's not very much requirements to quote unquote release a song and put it out live. Anybody can put anything out on SoundCloud for free. So you could record a song in your bedroom and tomorrow put it out on SoundCloud and anybody who has the link to that song can listen to it. And another part of what happened, why I was an account manager, is SoundCloud a couple of years ago acquired a distributor. And a distributor is the company that lets you release your music to all platforms. So not just SoundCloud. You can release music to Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, all of the above. So they've built out different programs and products on SoundCloud to help independent artists.
What is the best way to release music if you are an independent artist? Is it to go through, the SoundCloud way, for someone who wants to get it out to all of those, the Spotify, you want to get it to Apple Music, you want to get it on everyone's radar. What's the best way to do that?
Yeah, so there are so many different distributors out there. I feel like most commonly a lot of people use DistroKid. DistroKid doesn't take a percentage of your earnings, which is very attractive to some people. It's just like a yearly fee that you can release as much as you want in that year. And so forth. You can continue to pay every year. Or there's CD Baby, there's TuneCore. SoundCloud's distribution service does take a percentage. So it really depends on what you're trying to weigh, whether it's like you need additional services and you're okay with them taking a percentage, or if you kind of just want to start out on your own. I do think DistroKid is a good option for like the typical indie artist.
Okay. And are people making money with digital music? I know the old formula of getting signed, having a record label release your stuff and selling CDs and all of that is completely dinosaur to where we are now. Are independent artists getting money from all of these different sources?
Yeah, of course, it depends on the consumption of their music. But yeah, I mean, I think we're no longer in the era where you have to get a record deal. There are many artists that make, a couple $1,000s a month to hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on streaming. And the cool thing there is once you have some more money, you can use that as leverage to get something called a distribution deal rather than like a record label deal, which means that you're licensing your music and you're not giving away the rights to your music.
Okay. Makes total sense. Talk me through managing artists. Obviously, there's pros and cons, good days, bad days. I feel like I've managed bands in the past and, in the dinosaur days and now completely different. But I always felt like being a therapist and solving problems and talk me through dealing with, it sounds like two main artists that, you're directing the ship. So talk me through how you deal with, up and coming artists.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like a relationship. Similar to where like you get to know somebody and you put trust in them and like maybe a romantic relationship or a family relationship. The big thing is that every single human being communicates differently and works differently and is motivated by different things. So in that, a lot of it is like relationship and communication skills. And then, like you said, sometimes being a little bit of a therapist, being a musician and putting out music that you care about out to the world can be really scary. So with that, there's lots of ups and downs. But I feel like I love artist management in the way that like it's a collaborative thing. So it's not like I'm a manager, so I'm making all of the decisions for my artists. It's very much like we have like a solid relationship together where we're friends and I care about their well-being and it's not just all business. So it's like a good mixture of, personal relationship with the artist and then, wanting to make sure that they can succeed in their career and build out their business.
I love it. So as the artists grow, your relationship grows and so forth. What are some of the highlights of working with those two artists? Are there two like pinnacle moments thus far?
Yeah, I think that I feel like for both of them, it's really rewarding when we can just have a goal or something that we want to achieve and we're able to make it happen for the artist, whether it's like receive certain support on Spotify. One of my artists, Ryan Nealon, is still very in the beginning stages of people knowing who he is and his music. So it's been fun to be a part of that journey because everything is exciting at the beginning. Like all of the little wins are super fun to be a part of. And then Charisma has been doing this for a very long time. So kind of helping him advocate for himself and achieve bigger things for his music has been rewarding.
Okay. Do you help with music placement, like movies, television? How do you go about doing that for, independent artists?
Yeah. So for the sync side of things, we've had a couple different partners that manage that. I myself am not personally like pitching to music supervisors because that's its own like job basically. So there are a lot of companies that sometimes help with just like micro licensing, all the way up to like, yeah, you're like you get a sync in a major picture film. But I haven't been super hands-on on that side of things. I kind of just liaison with the correct companies and the sync reps and stuff.
Okay. Like as far as certification goes, obviously you mentioned the degree, getting your master's. Do you have to continue to take any certification? Do you educate yourself on, is there somewhere where you go to see the latest in the industry and what's changing? I feel like with technology, things change so rapid. You learn Pro Tools and then there's Ableton, and then, from Ableton comes, the next wave. Like, how do you stay up to date on everything that you need?
Yeah, I feel like I stay up to date by following all the different companies like on LinkedIn, um, the MLC, which is like the Mechanical Licensing Collective, Song Trust. There are so many companies out there that have to do with like royalty collection, that create free like consumable content to kind of make sure that you're learning all the new tactics, the different companies. For me, I have direct, relationships with all of these companies. In many cases, some of like my friends work at the company. So it's just kind of like staying in the know for like music news. And then there's like conferences that I attend and speak at. So that's helpful to kind
Talk
of.
me through some of those conferences. What are your favorites?
Yeah, so there's a conference that just happened in Nashville and it's called Music Biz. It's just like the Music Biz conference. It's put on by the Music Business Association and several companies all come together, managers, agents, publishing, all of that. And there are several days of programming where there's panels about certain topics. And then there's a lot of like networking events throughout the day and most like at the nighttime. And that's also a great way to meet new people in the industry and kind of tell them what you're doing and like, here are your clients. And then a lot of times in the next 3 to 6 months, you get business from those new interactions that you have.
Love it. Talk me through Unsung Heroes. I love the name, first of all.
Yeah. So when I was at SoundCloud previously, um, we wanted to build like a playlist kind of feature to highlight songwriters and producers, because many times the people who created the songs don't really get the attention that they deserve. It's always about the front and center pop star or the artist that sometimes, in many cases, didn't even write the song that they're performing that win all the awards. So it was kind of like a program to build a playlist and some marketing material that where we can highlight some songwriters and producers that have written like huge hits that most people wouldn't know that they wrote all those songs. So it was something that we launch on the platform.
I love it. To me, it's like almost highlighting not only ghostwriters, but like there are some amazing producers that just want to stay on the behind the scenes and want to be part of writing teams and write with artists. But like I think of like a Bonnie McKeef who's done like so many things for Katy Perry.
Yeah.
There's got to be like 7 or 8 songs she's written for Katy Perry. And I saw just recently, like she's now starting, a career under her own name and, writing songs. But I always think like that type of person has got to have a great wealth of money, can go anywhere, eat anywhere, and not have to sign autographs, and has a wonderful life without being in
Right.
front of the camera. Like there's some people who just want the fame, and there's some people who just want to be behind the scenes and
Mhm.
still be part of the industry. And that's the best part about being, a talented creative writer. You can do so much stuff behind the scenes. You don't necessarily have to have the look and the, all the stuff that comes with, trying to get out there and make money that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Talk me through a mantra. Is there a mantra that you say daily? Just something that, you catch yourself?
I would, well, I do have a tattoo on myself that says worry less. So I would have to say that that is something that I should look at a lot more often. But other than that,
What
um,
inspired that tattoo? I love it. I feel like we're always in our own heads and we're on our
exactly.
worst
I think,
enemies.
I think in the past year, obviously, of me like being a full-time entrepreneur, I don't have anyone paying my paycheck. I'm paying myself. So, I think a lot of times I worry that like, who do I think I am? Like, who do I think I am to be a business owner? And then I'm like, what do other people think about me? And it's just like, you should worry less because at the end of the day, that doesn't give anything into your life. It just takes away
I
like
love
your
it.
happiness and your
It's
stress.
absolutely true. And, it's interesting because everyone wants to be their own boss until you are your own boss and you realize like that the old more money more problems, like
Yeah.
it's true. But I'm coming back to something that you said very early on within the internship was you learned time management. You learned how to, first of all, knocking out a master's while you're working, you have to be able to deal with time management, setting priorities, going to school, working, doing all of those things. You're pulled in so many different directions. And that's why I'm a big component of, maybe college isn't for everyone, but just dealing with jumping through the hoops, I think does help prepare you for the crazy world you're going to be jumping into. So, yeah, my last question to you, and then I'm going to open it up for some questions from the students. What's the biggest piece of advice you would give to your younger self, other than worry less?
Yeah.
Like if you could go back any point in time, is there anything you would tell Jamie, like, Jamie, accept this deal, or like, don't go in this direction? What would that be?
Um, that's such a good question. I would say that if I could have learned more about myself earlier on, that might have saved a lot of time. I feel like you get to the point where you're like, oh, I feel like I'm my fully formed like adult self. I think right after college, it kind of just seems all chaotic and you're spending time on things that you think you should be spending time on, but in reality, like working on yourself, whatever that may look like for everybody, like that will make you become like a better worker, a better friend. Like I remember like when I look back to like friendships that I've lost, I'm like, I probably could have done some things different there. But like you don't really get to that point until you've gone through it and like you've grown up through it.
Yeah, no, I feel like self-awareness is huge. I feel like you have to make mistakes. I saw
Yeah.
something today. It was, in the realm of growth mindset, but it said like, you're not fully there until you can accept accountability, accept some of your own personal faults and not put it off on someone else. Like
Yeah.
at that point, that's when you have that self-awareness. And, it resonated with me. When do you feel like you hit that self-awareness? Like you definitely have it, having the don't worry, worry less. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes we're always caught up on what people think about us, but like in the end, it's what you think about yourself,
Yeah.
because that's what people are going to be attracted to. That's what people are truly going to see. when did that self-awareness really kick in? And I agree with you. College, like you graduate college and you're in like survival mode. It's like, okay, now I'm supposed to have a job. I've spent this money. Now I'm certified, so I don't think it's like right after college, but there's definitely a point where you mature and that self-awareness kicks in. When did that happen for you?
Yeah, I would have to say, funny enough, like the year 2020. So I'm sure a lot of people experience the same thing where like we were forced to slow down. Therefore, we were forced to sit with like any internal struggle that was going on. Or, I think also, staying at home in the pandemic really stretched us, to deal with hard things and scary things. So I feel like, if anything, that first year kind of made me realize a lot of things. So I'm grateful for that.
It's so interesting that you mentioned that the pandemic definitely like strained relationships. People you were stuck in houses with certain people.
Yeah.
I watched a Netflix special and it was like two people dating and it was like right during the pandemic. And it's like, talk about raw, real people. Like, you're truly exposed. One of the other things that I forgot to highlight that I just want to give you kudos to was using a platform like Clubhouse. And some people just kind of like Netflixed and chilled themselves out of a entire pandemic. But then there's other people who kind of seized that time to learn about themselves and that self-awareness, which is vital to success. Some people took that time for education and, there's YouTube to veg and TikTok to veg, but there are platforms out there where you can better yourself and educate yourself. And, Clubhouse happened to be one of those where, it wasn't like so much your face, it was just people talking and creating those real relationships. I still think of some people that I met on Clubhouse now. And Clubhouse is crazy to think, like, I remember when during that pandemic, the value they put towards Clubhouse was something astronomical. And then the pandemic ended and it was like, boom, gone. I don't even know if it's still, people are using it.
Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe like very mild, but it had its moment.
Okay, fair enough. It's one of those things in the time capsule. Someone will be like, do you remember Clubhouse? Jamie, I want to wish you continued success. You're very smart. I love that you're driven. You know exactly what you're doing. You're helping independent artists. If anyone on this call wants to reach out to you, could they do so on your website? Is that the best way to
so I have I have LinkedIn. I also have an email. You can find all that information. I think I'll probably just end up sending you a link.
Okay.
And you can send it to everyone. That might be the most helpful.
Perfect. Let's do that. Because at heartsandsongs.com, you can see, an artist development company specializing in artist and music rights management. Again, very important to understand your rights, your copyright, mastering, all of that stuff is very important to know. So lock it in. On that note, everyone, have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thank you again, Jamie, for inspiring the next generation of creatives. And on that note, everyone, have a good rest of your night.
As we conclude another enriching episode, we hope you found inspiration in the stories shared today. Let's take a moment to honor Yes I Can's role in bringing Breaking the Biz to life. Yes I Can's commitment to empowering young people with disabilities through education, advocacy, and mentorship shines brightly, paving paths of opportunity and dialogue. This podcast celebrates the organization's dedication to nurturing talent and facilitating impactful discussions. Breaking the Biz is more than a podcast. It's a part of Yes I Can's broader mission to amplify voices, dismantle barriers, and craft a world that's more inclusive and accessible for everyone. Each episode is a chapter in our shared narrative of progress, education, and empowerment, driven by the spirit of Yes I Can. Thank you for spending your time with us on Breaking the Biz. Continue to challenge the status quo and share stories that resonate. Until our paths cross again, Let's keep transforming aspirations into achievements and infuse every endeavor with optimism. Here's to advancing the landscape of the entertainment industry, one episode at a time. I'm your host, William Felber. See you next time.